Bum 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 bum. Just chat with Uncle Dominic.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Just Chat with Uncle Dominic. It has been a great week this week. I hope everyone is doing just fine. And you guys are getting excited for this week as well, this weekend, because it is Halloween weekend. I hope everyone's getting their costumes ready and go on Halloween, of course. We have to wear a mask and be safe, especially during this COVID time. Okay, I have here with me Lapora Lindsay. Let's everyone welcome her. She will be our guest today. So let me introduce a little bit about her. She was on the show last time, but because we had an audio problem, we weren't able to save it and put it on YouTube. So this is considered a part two of it or a continuation of it. Okay, so let me introduce her again. Lapora Lindsay. She is an inspirational speaker, a life coach, especially for the career success coach. So if you're looking to improve on your career, please look her up. And she's also an author, a mother, and she is certified in three things here: emotional intelligence training, life coaching, and professional resume writing, which is very important in these days, especially when you go for look for a job. If you write a terrible resume, it's going to be difficult, right? I assume that is the case, Lapora?
Yes, absolutely, Uncle Dominic. It is going
So
to be a little bit harder.
it's going to be a little bit harder, yes. But here's the thing as well. Let me ask if we can continue on this. Oh, wait, I haven't finished introducing yourself yet. So anyway, I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, this is Lapora Lindsay, okay? And she wrote a quote that I really want to quote it out. She says, "Self-worth is how you define or value yourself." And so, one more time, self-worth is how you define or value yourself. Wait, let me see. Did I say the right one? Making sure. Yes, self-worth is how you define or value yourself. So, be kind. So, in short, what does that mean? Okay, so let's ask Lapora today. So, Lapora,
Arthur of the quote.
self-worth is how you define or value yourself. So, be kind.
Yes. So the reason why I wrote that quote is because we are, and I'm going to speak for myself, and let me know, Uncle Dominic, if you agree with me on this.
Okay.
But I have found for myself that I am my own worst critic. And that a lot of times when I see other people excelling and moving forward, I consider that to be sometimes I think that it somehow reflects me and what I'm capable of.
Mhm.
And I realized when I experienced those things that salary, position title, it is not equivalent to what your worth is. What is equivalent to your worth is how you value yourself. It is the fact that you are trying. It is the fact that you are educating yourself and you are finding ways to grow. And so, with that, be kind, it's be kind, give yourself some grace, and know that you're not going to be perfect. But if you continue to try to do better, then you are doing all that you can do. Do you agree with that?
Yep, yep.
Because that's
That is a great explanation. I definitely agree with that because there's a lot of things that in this world right now we base a lot on money. I would say money, right? And money,
right.
people believe money is important. I do too as well, but sometimes I guess we have to balance it out to figure out which is more important than money. And so,
Yeah.
and it's
Basically having
difficult.
priorities. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, our topic today, guys, is who am I and what am I worth? So we are going to on a journey today. We need to figure out who am I, not me, but you as well, yourself. Who am I and what are we worth? I mean, so that's a lot of words there, right? So basically, it's about self-worth. So there's the word that comes with self. Self is an interesting word because we have so many English words with the word self like self-esteem, self-compassion, self-acceptance, self-respect, self-confidence. self-love, self-care, and many more, right? And all of them pretty much means the same thing, self-worth, right? Don't you agree, Lapora?
Uh, so I do think that they are related,
Hmm.
but I do think that there are some slight differences in the same. But that self part is for sure it carries across all of them. Is
Okay.
that key there as far as for you? How are you defining each of those elements and areas for sure?
Right. So because of this word, everyone breaks it down to different categories. But in general, I guess we are all still looking for ourselves. What makes us happy? Like what makes us who we are, and how do we get about in our life? Because of course, things get down for people. I would not lie this to anyone. My past 2 weeks have been pretty depressing for me as well, and for my family, and it was difficult for me to put myself up and go about. It was very difficult, and I guess it happens to everyone. Everyone has their downtime. It's just how we find that to define, like, what am I worth? Like, if it's, am I of value to people? And so it came this to me last 2 weeks, when I felt really down. When I felt really down, I shouldn't do this, and no one should do this. We tend to ask, do you like me? Do you love me? To the families that we love, or to people that we like. And I asked this to my kids. So I said, do you love your daddy? And it depends on their mood, right? They will look at me and say, yeah, right? And then I had to go and do this. Who do you love more, mommy or daddy? And they're like, oh no, what kind of question is that? So like, so they will say, mommy and daddy. So they'll say both of it. But my name is at the back. And I always said, why is not my name in front? Why is not daddy first? Why is it mommy first? Anyway, so when I ask this kind of questions, I think I'm setting myself up for failure, right? Don't you agree, Lapora? So
Yeah,
what do you think about
and
that?
it's not a fair question.
It's not a
For the
fake
person
question. It
being,
is. No.
yeah, for the person that's being asked the question, or for you, because there's a lot of things that come into play there. And I mean, and love in and of itself is such a complicated word. I mean, I know that people a lot of times use it loosely, as
Hmm.
in, oh yeah, I would love to get together. Oh my gosh, I love spaghetti. I love pizza. But it's depending on how you're asking that question, like the complexities there, it really requires, um, I guess, less of a comparison, right? Which essentially, I guess that question was kind of like in reference to like that comparison. But also at the same time, I don't know necessarily why the question was being asked, but it's so very important, as you were talking about before, to have that self in front of, have that self love,
Hmm.
right? That regardless of, and I think you just mentioned this, like 2 minutes ago, like regardless of the value that other people are placing on us, what value are we placing on ourselves? What love are we placing on or giving to ourselves? Because eventually we will receive that in return. I'm a firm believer of that. Will it be immediate?
Hmm.
Probably not. Um, and will it always come from the people that we want it to come from?
Mm.
Potentially, no. But that doesn't mean that it's non existent, and it doesn't mean that it won't happen. But it's about being able to uh, just stay encouraged and then finding opportunities where it does present itself.
We mentioned this last time as well during our chat, but I do want to bring it out again. Comparison is terrible. We tend to compare it all the time. I don't know why. Like, if you see a fast car next to you, it's like, I wish I had that car. Or you see someone has a great family. Oh, I wish my family were great. We compare everything. I don't know why. Like, we look at someone's baby, the newborn baby. It's like, wow, your baby's so cute. Why wasn't my baby cute when she was born? Things like that. We ask things like that. I think it just creates a pitfall for us to fall into as well. So it's difficult. Like, we know we shouldn't ask these questions, but somehow they just pop up. So how can we
Yeah.
avoid this?
So, avoiding that comparison trap, it is, first of all, I just have to acknowledge that it is so hard these days. It's probably harder now than it's ever been because social media is so prevalent. Like you can't get away from it. Even if you don't like using social media, in order to network for your career, you're gonna probably have to use it. Like there's some type of social platform that is going to be available and out there for you to utilize in order to help gain some growth there. But when it comes to comparison and how to get out of that trap, the first thing is really acknowledging that we are comparing ourselves,
Hmm.
because it almost goes to that step of denial, like, oh, I'm not comparing myself, but in reality, when we are, all of those examples that you just listed there. So it's being able to acknowledge that, like, okay, I am comparing myself. And once you've like identified it and acknowledged it, and then the next step is then determining why. Why are you comparing yourself when it comes to other people and their family? Why are you comparing yourself with other people and where they are in their careers? And I think that that why is going to be different from each person, but one common concept that I've seen is that a lot of times people look at the success or the um, other people moving forward in their lives or other people having XYZ somehow as a failure for ourselves, when it's not. You are two completely different people. I posted something on LinkedIn the other day of two sheets of paper.
Hmm.
And if one sheet of paper is used for one project and the other sheet of paper is used for something completely different, it doesn't devalue either one of those sheets of paper. They're still two sheets of paper. And it's the same thing when it comes to when we get caught in this comparison trap, is just realizing that we are two separate individuals, and that just because someone is getting utilized in one particular area and we're not, there is no relation there that your success equals my failure. We can both succeed in our own separate ways. And so that, I think, is, after you identified and recognize that, is really just in figuring out that why, is really just being able to understand as well, is that we are not the same and everybody has their own journey, and just appreciating your journey for what you have.
That is true. That is true. But here's the thing. I want to bring that out as well. I actually saw that comparison on the paper that you put on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, cool.
LinkedIn. I said LinkedIn. So here's the thing as well that I want to comment, but I usually don't comment on social media because I find out if I comment too much, it's kind of like a bad thing. Like I'm kind of like critiquing and making things worse, and I don't want to do that. So I avoid
Oh,
negative thoughts. But anyhow, I do want to say this though. So if we have
okay.
two blank paper, right?
Yes.
Two sheets of paper. They're both the same value. So if I'm comparing the paper as me and you, all right? And so okay, so one paper I give it to let's say Tom Cruise, all right? Tom Cruise or Michael Jordan or
Yes.
someone to sign their name on it. And the other paper I'll give it to Uncle Dominic. And Uncle Dominic signed his name. So I sign
Oh.
my name on the paper. So these two paper, right? Which one is of more value?
To who?
Very good writing. To who? I like that. To who? So here's the thing. If I give it to anyone, right? Anyone,
Yeah.
anyone at all, and I show it to them, like most people would say the Michael Jordan one or whoever, Tom Cruise, that paper is worth more value because they're famous, they're popular, right?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
to this one, whoever knows me will probably still pick this because it's of more value because they know it's worth more. So how can we change that? Because
No,
it's right
I love
there.
this. I wish you would have commented. This would have been a great discussion.
No,
Comments
it'd
aren't
be
for
bad. It'd be
agreeing;
people
they're for
attacking me and stuff.
conversation. No, absolutely not. Because I did think about that as well. But so, when you mention those two, as far as with having someone famous and having their autograph on there,
Mhm.
and then someone who is, such as you or myself, we're not famous, right? But that is exactly what that is reflective of, is that we can think that, okay, so because this person has signed this paper, because this one is worth multiple value, that means that we're not. And that's not the case. No, we're not famous. No, we don't have a lot of money. So when we're talking about our net worth, absolutely, we're not going to be on that same playing field. But for the analogy or the metaphor for the papers, it's not about net worth. It is about self-worth. And that's where that comes into play, where no, I don't have the net worth of Tom Cruise or Michael Jordan. I don't have the notoriety that they both have. But what I do have are my strengths. I do have the ability to be able to inspire people and motivate people. I do have the ability to be a career coach and to help people with their resumes and to give them confidence in their careers. That is what I have. And that is what makes me a valuable piece of paper for me. And that goes kind of, into that comparison trap where we're not the same sheets of paper once the project is on there. But at the same time, when you strip it down, we are two sheets of paper. And it's the same thing with the comparison. While with the autograph on there and with my autograph on my paper, we're not the same. If you strip us down, we're both human beings and we are both achieving our own version of success. So this would have been a really great conversation, Uncle Dominic. I wish you would have commented.
It's dangerous sometimes, you see posts and comments, everything on social media. It's like, I do want to say something. I do want to post comments on it, but I'm afraid that if I do, I'm thinking people will start attacking me or putting stuff on. So I'm like, yeah, it's best not to bring it
I
out.
got you,
Sometimes.
but I may use that. I may make a follow-up video. Not saying your
There we
name
go.
or anything, but I may make a follow-up video.
Please quote me on that, so I'll be like, yes. But here's the thing as well. There is a video out there, and there are people comparing notes, dollar notes, right, as in self-worth. So a
Yes.
dollar note will always be $1. If we crumple it up and smash it, whatever, and you open it back up, it's still $1. So they're saying, or people are saying, the dollar, maybe it will be you. So no matter what happens to you, whatever, your value is still $1. Famous people will still be $1. If you crumple it up, there'll still be $1. But for some reasons, that dollar is actually more value to my $1. So, do you understand?
Yeah,
What do you
because
think
it
on
belongs
that?
to somebody else. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So, like, okay, so they're comparing that a dollar note, right? Is everyone else. Everyone's a dollar note. So we're all of the same value. All right. So once we crumple it up, we are still money. We are still a value, right? But the thing is, some people's value could be more. For example, your dollar notes, if you crumple it up and then it comes out, it's still $1, but your value is more because maybe you are Michael Jordan, so somehow, right? Or if we look at a currency from different countries, my dollar in Taiwan is actually not even $1; it's a coin. So the value compared to the American dollar it's big difference, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
how does that compare at all? How does that work at all?
I feel that it kind of falls down the slope of the comparison trap, even with the currency. And there are certain times when that's something that we should consider, and then there's times when we should not consider it. So let's start with the times when we should consider it.
Okay.
So when it comes to, let's see, I'm coming up with a good example here. So let's say I'm going to stick with the Tom Cruise and Michael Jordan example.
For some reason, those are the famous people that comes into my head.
With it, right? No, that's fine. So let's say that there is an event that is being hosted. So would you invite Michael Jordan, or would you invite me to be the headliner speaker at that event? For the most part, it probably wouldn't be me. I probably wouldn't even be in the same sentence as far as like the consideration between like Lapora or Michael Jordan. Like which one? Like it's not even, just go with Michael Jordan, right? So in that sense, yes, there is a different value there for that particular event, right? But let's say you go to another event where we're looking for career focus. They are looking for perhaps someone who has had multiple jobs, who has had struggles throughout their career, someone who is not famous. Well, I could be a better potential candidate for that particular event. So, and that's the thing. It's when it comes to the evaluation or the worth of what one person is over the other, it could be really easy falling into that comparison trap to say, well, this person would win uh 99 times out of 100, they would be chosen over me. But the fact of the matter is, we that's where we get stuck, because it's not a comparison between you and the other person. It is a comparison between what you can achieve. It is not my goal to be a NBA basketball player, Hall of Famer. It is not even my goal to be famous. My goal is to make enough money from my coaching business and my book that we can retire when it is time. That is my goal. And I am confident enough in what I bring to the table and my value to know that there are going to be people who are, they have that higher net worth. Their goals or their aspirations, what they plan to achieve, are going to be different. That doesn't affect me, because I'm confident enough in what I have to offer. And as long as I achieve what I am looking to achieve for me and my family, I'm good. And I think that more people should take that into an account, that yes, you are going to have people who, if you're both playing basketball together, you're both acting together, you're not going to be chosen for the role.
Mhm.
But is your goal to be better than the other person, or is your goal to be better for yourself? You mentioned, the about the currency, the different currency.
Right.
So is the goal at that point to have a coin that equals a dollar, or is your goal to purchase whatever you can purchase with that coin?
Hmm.
Right? And so the comparison trap, it really doesn't doesn't benefit us to be stuck in it, because all we're doing at that point is we fall into the trap of, well, I'll never have enough. But everybody has enough. You just have to find out what you want for you, not what somebody else wants for you, but what do you want for you, and stay focused on that. You may get distracted, because a dollar and a quarter are two different things, right? So
Mm.
there is that distraction there, but we're not looking at, okay, I want my quarter to be worth a dollar. I want to get the most out of the quarter that I have. And that is so valuable, pun intended, with it being, I want to get the most that I have out of what I have. And that just requires that focus on what it is that you want, and then just go out for it.
Actually, the quarter in America could actually be more than my dollar here. It's worth more. But yeah, but here's the thing. We as adults, we have the knowledge, the ability to figure it out, But
Yes.
young people out there, like for example, my junior high school kids and my high school kids, students, how are they able to figure that out? Like, is it worth at all? Like I mentioned in our previous chat last time, that I had a kid that gave up on everything, on learning in my class, because he didn't know what to do. He pretty much said, I don't understand you, I give up. So I had to pull him aside last time to give him a chance. And I was hoping he would change. Right now, he is pretty much still, I think, improving, but still pretty much the same. But the thing was, what happened to him? Like, what did he think? Like, I don't know what he's thinking. And so, how can he know that he is worth more, that he's able to achieve more, but he doesn't think it that way, right? So I had a chat with him again, and this is what he said. He said, because my father is doing this, so in the end, when I finish, doesn't matter what I do. And then I asked him, if you learn this, maybe you could help your father in the end, in taking over his business or making something out of it. That could be your future. And he then returns that, well, my dad does whatever he wants to do, and I'll do whatever I want to do. And said, what do you want to do? I don't know. I don't want to do anything. I'm like, so, and he puts himself down. So there are a lot of students like that, but this is just one example. So how can you, Lapora, help the students out there, or tell the younger generations out there, younger than us, right? So I'm pretty old right now, but younger than us, probably in the high school ages or junior high ages, or young ones out there that are still climbing to the stage, right? So
Yeah. So that's a tough one because there's so many different things that young minds are like they don't have control over. Like as a child, like you have control over certain things, but there's a lot that you don't, right? Um, Even the fact of the school that you go to, a lot of times that's determined by the school that your parents tell you to go to, not even you making that decision or that choice. So what you do have the ability to do is the ability to figure out what you enjoy, the ability to figure out based off of what you enjoy, what can you work on. And I know that that sounds like something only for adults, but it's not. It's for kids too. So for me, I'll track back into my childhood. I had a really hard time in high school. I was the kid who ate lunch by myself, and because I really didn't like eating lunch by myself in a room with other people who were all grouped up and friends, I started skipping lunch altogether, and I would just go to the library or like sneak food into the library. People weren't supposed to eat in there. I would sneak food into the library and just eat in there to be by myself. Throughout that time, I discovered that I really did enjoy writing. It was an opportunity for me to be able to express myself. I didn't have any friends, so I didn't have anyone to express my feelings to. I was very different than my siblings. And so I didn't feel that there was an opportunity to express myself to them, to express myself to my parents, or any of that. And so just really writing, I would submit my articles, or not articles, I wasn't writing articles at the time, poetry.
Just poetry, yes.
Yeah,
It's like, whoa, articles! Oh my gosh,
I know, right? At the age of
you're a
12.
genius.
No, but I would submit my works of my works of art essentially through writing. I would submit it. There were a lot of rejections there. So talk about already, in addition to not having any friends, but now like nobody wants what I'm writing. As a kid, like that was tough. But the point is there was a release there. There was an opportunity for me to express myself. I also discovered during that time that I was really good at acting. And so I started joining some of the clubs where I finally felt like I fit in a little bit, like I finally felt my people. And so my recommendation, and what I want to encourage the young brilliant minds to do, is that if you're feeling like, if you're caught in the comparison trap where you're comparing yourself to somebody else who is more popular than you, or somebody who's really good at sports, or somebody who's always making straight A's, find what your strength is, because you will find later in life that what someone is good at now doesn't mean that they're always going to be good at it later. And it's not that you're looking for them to fail, because you shouldn't be. But what you
Everyone
should be
thinks that
looking
I hope he fails. I hope she fails.
I know, right? I've been guilty of that. I'm not even gonna lie. I've been, not anymore, but I have been guilty of, oh my gosh, I hope they fail. But that's not healthy. But is that just because you're good at something now, it doesn't mean that you will always be. And on the flip side of that, just because you're not good at something now, it doesn't mean you won't be. Everybody has their own time. Everybody has an opportunity, a skill, a trait, or something that you are really good at, and nobody can do it like you. So I just want to encourage you to find that and work on that skill. There was a lot of things that my parents wanted to opportunities that they wanted to afford for me to have, and they could not afford for me to have those opportunities. Now, does it mean that I couldn't work on it? Absolutely not. Does it mean that some people were able to get better at it because their parents could? Perhaps. But it doesn't mean that I'm discounted because my parents could not afford that. So find what you're good at, find what you enjoy, and you keep working on it. And you will slowly start to see that that is going to increase your self-esteem, that is going to increase your self-confidence, because it doesn't matter if nobody else believes in you. And I know that's hard as a teen sometimes, or a young person, but it really doesn't matter. What matters most is that if you believe in yourself, other people will eventually believe in you as well.
I think when we were young, we feel like no one believes in us, right? And so, but when we
Yeah.
get older, it gets worse. I think. Like I'm old now. It's still there. Like I'm still thinking. What am I worth sometimes? When I was in school, right? I wasn't actually in acting also. So I had this acting
Oh, cool.
class. Um, Again, I'm Asian, and there are a lot of Caucasian actors there or students, right? All kinds of races there, but pretty much there's only two Asian guys. Two, no Asian girls, two Asian guys, right? Two. There's me and there's the other guy. Okay, so for sure, the other guy he is way better looking, right? Second, he has more confidence than I did. And so we were vying for this role in this show that we wanted to do, and they wanted one Asian guy. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, so I auditioned for it, and I asked him, "Are you gonna audition for it?" He says, "No, I'm not going to audition for it." I said, "Great, that means I might get the spots. No one else is gonna get it." So I auditioned for it. I got the spot. I was so excited, but then this happened. He decided that I wanted to do it too. So he went and talked to the director at that time, right? And he says, okay. And they all come to me and say, Dominic, I'm sorry, the other guy's gonna do your part. I was like, what? I thought I auditioned for it. So I got sidelined with someone better. How do you think that makes me feel?
Oh gosh, terrible. Like
I know.
Like, yeah.
So for a teenager at that time, that is shocking. Like I learned that I'm not worth a lot. That other guy is better looking, so he's probably worth more, and he's more confident. So my confidence just right. And so I think that's the thing with students right now. And so they have their confidence, but they get shot down a lot, very often.
Yes.
I'm a teacher right now. I'm an educator right now, and every time when things like that appear in front of me, if the students are doing something wrong, I could like be a regular teacher and shoot down their confidence and stuff like that. But when it comes to that right now, I learned that I shouldn't, and that happens to me before when I was younger. So I don't shoot down their confidence or bring them down or drag them down. So I always take them out of this classroom or have a chat with them and then see what's up. And I think that way it makes it better in some ways, right? I wish my teacher when I was younger actually does that.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
that way I actually still have my confidence and still continuing acting. But because of that particular event, I actually stopped going to acting class. I completely stopped doing it. So I went and do something
Oh,
else.
wow.
So
That's
it
pretty
was
traumatic.
difficult. It is for me at that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And students right now, anywhere, it's still happening. Like they feel like, it's difficult. Like I'm in Taiwan, so one of the classes that I'm teaching right now is the language class, right? So English. So when students are being shot at, or not actually physically shot at, but shot down by the teacher saying your pronunciation is terrible, go away or something like that, or how do you think that students will feel in that, especially when they're standing in front of their peers, right? So they will feel
Yeah.
like language. I don't want to learn it anymore, so they shut down, right?
Yeah. So
So
I don't know how mental health is perceived there in Taiwan, but I know that it's something here in the US where we still have a ways to go, but it is something that is slowly
Yes.
increasing as far as with
well,
knowing that it's okay. Yeah.
that's the thing with culture as well, right? Mental health, right? So like in the
Yeah.
States, if you have problem, you have depression, you have whatever, you are sad, whatever, right? You will actually go to a counselor. You know it. You will openly
Yeah.
say, I have this problem. Like, oh, I have ADHD, or I have whatever, whatever problems you have,
Yeah.
you will actually say it. But in the Asian culture, pretty much, if you have this problem, most people will see it as a weakness. This is a weakness. And we don't want to share our weakness. And so we keep it to ourselves. So students, when they're young, they have this mindset as well. I have this problem. I don't want to say it out. If I say it out, people will laugh at me, or people will, and so it's a problem, and it's difficult. Like when I'm teaching in my class, I tell the students many times, just say it out. Just speak English. Just say whatever. If you make a mistake, I don't care. Who laughs at you? It's just funny that you said it. It's funny that you said it wrong pronunciation. But in the end, it's you practicing. Right? The more you
Right.
say it, eventually you get it right. And so I
Yeah.
tell my students that same thing. Every time they do something, if it's wrong, that's fine. You laugh about it, get over it, and then just build on it and keep on moving. Right? It's all learning. Like I'm in class, and when the students ask me some Chinese words, ask me this, and when I say the wrong pronunciation, they all laugh at me. I was like, okay, that's fine. And sometimes I even do this. How dare you laugh at me? And they all laugh. So it's more like I'm saying it wrong. That is fine. I'm learning it. Eventually, I'll get the right pronunciation, right? So,
Yeah.
but that's for language. For other things as well, kids tend to feel like they're not up to it. So it's very difficult sometimes. I don't know how. How can I
Yeah.
motivate them as a teacher sometimes? I try, but sometimes it comes to the question, how if they don't listen to you, how do you motivate them? Like you have teenage kids, right? So you don't?
No, they're not teenagers.
Oh, they're teenagers. Right. I'm sorry.
No.
They're how old are they
Younger.
now? Younger?
Like preteens.
Preteens. Okay. So
Yeah.
how do you handle things like that? Do they have this experience in school?
So yes, for my daughter, but for me, and again, it could be a cultural thing too, which I love that we're talking about. But for me, it's all about having an open conversation and a dialogue to where if she is struggling with something, if there's something that is not going right, as much as I want to be the one to make it all right, I can't or I won't, because my temporary intervention as an adult is not going to help her in the long run. So instead, what we do is we talk about what's going on there. We discuss possible solutions, which I know probably sounds like a lot for a preteen, but when you are allowing the child to lead the conversation, a child to tell you like what they think possible solutions are, some of them are actually pretty legit solutions, and it's something that they feel comfortable with implementing. And then my role as an adult and as a parent is to be able to support that, because not all the time, with adults working with children, do we need to, or as parental figures, do we need to intervene. Sometimes when they're coming to us with problems, it's just simply for us to listen. Sometimes it is for us to provide advice, and sometimes it is for us to take action. And I think a lot of times we get caught in these situations where we really, really want to take action. We really, really want to make it better, but it's not always about action all the time. Sometimes it's just listening, and sometimes it's providing advice and letting them decide what they're going to do with that.
And that's the thing, right? It's difficult sometimes, but especially for guys. I don't know. Guys has this problem. What is that word? Men saying. That's the word. Men saying, right? But every time there is something, we want to, explain it out. Like, give you advice, even if you don't want advice. We guys tend to like, I'm gonna give you advice no matter what. And so I had this problem as well. And I tried not to do it, especially in school, when I'm teaching, because every time I do that, I don't think the students will actually learn anything. They will probably be listening to me, and then they'll go in, goes out, right? So I'll give you an example. Something happened today. Today I had a great class today. One class, we were chatting. We were talking in class about education. What is important for the students? What can they learn from it? What's bad about it? So and I asked them to take out their article that I gave to them right last week. One of the girls said, "Teacher, I didn't bring it. I don't have it." And then another girl says, "Teacher, me too. I didn't bring it." I was like, "Oh no!" So what we're gonna do? Then they said, "We're gonna go back to the other classroom and go get it from the other classroom." And I said, "No, you're not gonna leave this classroom. I want you to solve this problem now. What are you gonna do?" I told them. And the teacher, you tell me, what am I going to do? I'm not going to tell you what you are going to do. You're going to tell me what you are going to do to solve this problem. and they were thinking really hard. And I said, you have head, you have brain, think, man. Anyone can think. And there's like, teacher, can we copy? I said, no, you cannot leave this classroom, so no photocopying. So figure it out. And eventually, one girl says, can I look at my friend's paper? I was like, there you go, you're thinking. So easy. Just ask teacher, can I look at someone's? Instead, they're thinking, I'm gonna go back to the classroom and get it, or I'm gonna, they're trying to solve the problem themselves. Where else they could have just asked the girl next door, can I look? And so it's much easier, right? So it took them 10 minutes. I took away 10 minutes of my classroom time just for them to think, and they figure out in the end what they could do. Which is interesting.
That's an opportunity for the critical thinking skills, the analytical skills, and problem solving. Like, there's so much that they learned in those 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah. So
I think that's a benefit.
I feel good after that, and I'm sure they did as well. So they feel like I've accomplished something. I did well in my class today, and I told them, you did great. That's it. All right. So maybe their worth has built up even more, and they found out kind of. Well, I guess it's difficult to say anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, and then self-worth is something that can be built over time. Like, there's not going to be this is the max amount. Like, consider it like a calculation. Like, there's going to be some events that add to it. There's going to be events that subtract from it. Like, and the goal is to just keep growing it, to keep getting better. And as long as you're achieving for that, you'll eventually get there. And even for like the young minds, like, for just them knowing that you're not going to get perfect, but you just have to keep striving for better. Don't strive for perfect, strive for better. What can you do to improve? What can you do to grow yourself and
avoid
yourself?
The comparison trap. That's the worst trap. It does happen so often. It does happen so often.
It does. And sometimes you can't avoid it. And it's okay if you can't. If you acknowledge that that's what's going on there, figure out why. Because it's going to be different for every person.
I mean, the worst of it all is you don't even know that you're comparing until later. So that's worse. I like this quote here, and I think I mentioned it last time, but I'm going to put it out here and read it out to you. If you find yourself constantly trying to prove your worth to someone, you have already forgotten your value. So if you find yourself constantly trying to prove your worth to someone, you have already forgotten your value. Okay. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely sums up why you should not fall into the comparison trap. Although we do sometimes, because we're getting distracted as far as what our aspirations are, what our intentions are, because now it's not what Lapora wants. It's what do other people want from me, or what are other people doing? And that can be very confusing. And so at that point, you've forgotten what you need to do for you, because now you're doing things for other.
Oh no, Lapora, you got cut off. Are you there? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
You leg off.
I'm sorry. What?
You got leg off for a minute. Okay. I was like, what's happening? Okay. Could you say that again? Sorry.
Sure. What part got cut off? Do I need to start from the very beginning?
Oh my gosh. What was it? I don't remember. I was like, I got stuck. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened?
No, I'll start back over. Okay.
Sorry.
So can you say the quote just one more time, so that way I make sure I'm not like.
Okay.
And I'll try to make it shorter.
If you find yourself constantly trying to prove your worth to someone, you have already forgotten your value.
Perfect. So I'm gonna make this shorter just in case I get cut off again.
It's fine. So it was suddenly lagging, and suddenly you're gone. I was like, no.
When it comes to that particular quote and finding your value, don't look for the approval of others. Don't look to fall in the comparison trap, as in, I want to do this because I want everybody to like me. I'm going to do this because it'll make me better than so-and-so. I want to do this because it will increase my net worth. Like, and people will think better of me because I have a higher net worth. Like, all of that is not about what you want. Now, if you want, I know you talked about money when we first started this particular episode. And if somebody wants money and that is something that they value, there is nothing wrong with that, as long as that's what you want for you. But if you want it because other people are telling you that you should want it, or because other people are telling you that you would be better with it, you're losing focus of what makes you valuable. So stick to what you want. Discover your values, which takes time, and stick with them. And that's how you're going to get your ultimate fulfillment. Even for young minds,
Hmm.
you got to find your values and stick with them.
All right, to base on that as well, right? Because you're a parent, I'm a parent, right? We tend to feel like, oh, I'm gonna read this quote. This quote is right here. I'm just gonna say it out. It's difficult to explain. I gave my life to become the person I am right now. Was it worth it? I gave my life to become the person I am right now. Was it worth it? Okay, so most of the time as parents, we feel like, or I feel like, I'm doing this, I'm sacrificing this to be this kind of person for my children. But somehow, maybe that's not really who you are, and that maybe does not make you happy. But you still do it because I'm sacrificing. You're saying this to yourself. I'm saying this to myself. I'm doing this and sacrificing myself for my family. So, yeah. What's your reaction to this?
To the quote in your statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like it is about um those sacrifices that you're making. You have to determine like what your values are, and determine if what you're putting out is essentially if it's worth it in the end. If you are all about having a work life balance and you work more than you enjoy your personal life, perhaps it's not going to be worth it. If you are about uh, valuing quality time, but you are distracted by social media, perhaps at the end of the day or end of the week or end of whenever, it is not going to be worth it. So, in order to know what will be worth it and won't be worth it, we first have to assign value to different areas in our life, because otherwise, we won't know what is of value, what is invaluable, and what is of no value at the end of the day.
Thank you, Lapora. And I mentioned last time, or I chatted with you last time, you actually mentioned about a book that you're writing on. Are you able to finish that book yet?
So, I am done with the book proposal, and this
Nice.
time I am submitting it to literary agents. So, it'll still be some time before it hits the shelves, but I'm moving forward in it, and
Once
we'll
it
see
hits
what
the shelf, I
happens.
bet your net worth is gonna right. In that case,
Oh, what about my self-worth?
well, we're about time, but I do want to rephrase everything we just chat about today. I do want to thank everyone for staying and listening to us today. Thank you, Lapora, for coming and chatting and talking about who am I and what am I worth. And I think pretty much a lot of us have figured out what can we do. We shouldn't compare ourselves too much because it's difficult, you know. And so, pretty much go back to her quote, right? Lapora's quote: "Self-worth is how you define or value yourself." And I like the last three words. It's like, "So be kind." It makes sometimes, you know, all of us have fall into the comparison trap. It is there, and it's how we get out of it. It's how we see in the end. It's more like the attitude towards things in life. And if we are able to think that things are going to get better, or it's, you know, far ahead, figure out a goal, and then eventually we'll get to it, right? And so our worth of our value, our worth, it's there. It's always been there. We've always been the dollar or $100. It's always the value is there. It's just we don't see it sometimes. So we need to try to remember that we are worth something, which is why we are here on this earth, or our parents give birth to us, or that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? Okay. So I want to thank you again, Lapora. Let me end with this quote, and then we'll finish for today. So it says, "You might feel worthless to one person, but you are priceless to another. Don't ever forget your worth. Spend time with those who value you." So again, for Lapora to listen to, you might feel worthless to one person, but you are priceless to another. Don't ever forget your worth. Spend time with those who value you. So everybody, we are worth $1. So that is still money. It's still worth something. We are worth something. We just need to figure out what else we can do. Like Lapora mentioned, find out our focus and focus on it. And, you know, one day that piece of paper, I'll come to you and you sign, and we'll all be famous one day. One day. But Lapora, do you have any last words you want to say?
This has been great. I enjoyed the conversation, and I hope that you post and comment on LinkedIn a little bit more often.
Thank you. Well, everyone, thank you to Lapora Lindsay, and she has a website right here. I put it on right here underneath her, laporalindsay.com. So if you have time, please go check out her website. And if you have time to go check out my YouTube, other videos as well, and like and subscribe and support us. No money is involved. If you support us, we'll try to continue to make more videos like this, and people will be more happy and learn more exciting chats and more exciting topics. Okay, thank you everyone. I hope everyone have a good week and happy Halloween. Goodbye.